Oh, look at that, Mrs. M. House for rent. 5 minutes from the beach. 8 minutes if you fall. That's what it's going to sound like.
In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.
Good morning, Portugal, and I'd like to welcome you to another fantastic day.
Hey, Gumpers.
On the Alegria, Munson here with Good Morning Portugal show, live stream and podcast, or should I say the Munsons? Although what I was about to say was, the caprice of woman. There she is, ready with me to start the show. As soon as the show starts, she disappears. Nice to see you back. Cutting it a bit fine there. How are you?
Very good. I thought I'd get myself my first glass of water this day.
Get yourself a glass of water.
I see you have one already. You sorted yourself out.
Okay. Now, it's been a while since you've been here. Was it
Yeah.
something I said? Was it something somebody said here?
Well, it could have been. Who knows?
What do you mean?
I don't know. What do you mean? Could have been. I don't know. It could also have been that I had a really awful sore throat. It's taken quite a while for my voice to get back.
We sound like we're a little bit in that condition, don't we? Still.
Yeah. But I mean, I've been snoring for 2 weeks, haven't I? Because
and,
my tonsils have been swollen, and it was too much for you, wasn't it, love? So
it was
we have
too
been
much for our
sleeping
neighbours, to be honest.
You know, we've been in different bedrooms because
it's too much for the whole street. There's a petition. There's a petition. Well, I've assured everybody that we've got Dr. Bayard's on the case, and we've put it behind us now. But aren't we lucky to have a spare bedroom?
I was very fortunate. I had a couple of people from this very community help out. Yeah.
What with the snoring tips? Sew a marble into the back of the pajamas, that sort of thing.
No. I had some very good health advice from some very good homeopathy advice.
Well, thank you everybody
and also advice. Some access consciousness advice.
Oh, I say, talking of which, and that sounds a bit culty. We have got, there is.
Why do you say that? Why do you say it's something that is
access
to do
consciousness?
With access consciousness.
These weird health things. There's one behind you on the shelf here. Not that picture, not that Terence Austin original that you can see between us on the screen. But if you move slightly. That my kind of medicine's over there behind me, Beral. If you move your chair slightly, what looks like a urine sample on the shelf? No, other way. Come on, you can do this. There you go. Look, can you see it, everybody? I don't know if that's the view everyone is seeing, but that is not a urine sample because that could make it onto a like a meme, couldn't it? Oh, look at the things that happen with live streams. What you see on shelves behind
that really would be a live stream.
It's a bit like during the pandemic, wasn't it, when people had marital aids exposed on their shelves behind them? Do you want to explain what that is? I mean, it is disgusting to look at. It's got stringy things in it. If you did take that as a urine sample to the doctor, they would say, "We better get you in. We're getting an ambulance."
They would say there's a lot of protein in that, wouldn't they?
Yes.
I don't know if you can see that.
I don't know if we want to see that. Is the let me go. I'll put the ring light on. There you go.
I've been getting up close and personal with all of my you're frowning already.
Yeah, I'm wondering where this is headed.
With all my bacterial things, my lovely growths.
Yeah,
my
ferments,
my ferments. Yeah. So I've had some last year I was doing kombucha and also water kefir. And I didn't leave enough space between the two. Now, I have to say, I never really liked this kombucha. It never tasted right. It was always...
The one that you were making in Portugal, you weren't keen on.
Yeah. Right. I've had some great kombucha in the past, but this one just tasted sour all the time. It's nothing... I just couldn't seem to brew it right. But anyway, I kept on like a true sort of optimist with it, way beyond it's real life. But in that time, I also got myself some beautiful water crystals for water kefir, and
Water
they were
kefir.
really, really lovely. They for you brew people out there, you'll know what it's
Fermenters,
like,
yeah.
when you have a really, really good one. And so I always got great results. The kids loved it too, which was amazing. So they're able to get probiotics. But I didn't put enough space in between the two in our kitchen. And over a while, I started to notice I had these long strings growing in my water kefir. And I wasn't sure what it was. And I did suspect it might have been the kombucha, but I didn't know. And I didn't have the time to investigate it. So I put them in the fridge for 6 months.
Which I
you should
found
never
the other
do.
day. We came back from the supermarket. I thought better make a bit of room in there. And at first I'm thinking, there's actually, our Cane Sabia today is about sites of cultural and heritage interest. And I should have phoned them up to see if they were interested in what I was finding in the back of our fridge.
Yeah, so
but that has reunited you.
So there's all these like pots of different ferments and stuff. And so, yeah, I got out my water crystals. I gave them a bit of TLC last night. And those strings had, even though there was no tea involved, those strings had actually created a kombucha.
Cross-contamination had happened in a good way.
So it's an experiment. I don't know if it's going to come back to life. There's a couple of UFO-shaped frisbee jelly mamas in there.
It'll make it onto Twitter as the alien invasion that people keep taunting us with at the moment.
Oh, that's just so made up.
Oh no! Don't go there! Don't go there! You can do this.
And I've now also got water kefir crystals. So if in a couple of months' time, if you're in the area and you would like some ferments, then also give me a shout.
I've got a really meetup.
It could do, yeah.
But it might bring a new and different kind of visitor.
Yeah, I've also got some really great milk kefir grains that are going as well.
I'm not so keen on that.
My dad snuck over from the UK with it in his pocket.
Oh, and that's it. Criminalised him now, live on air.
In a little baggie.
Can you imagine? It looks like, I often say it's like a scene from Hawaii Five-0 where Book him, Dano, and Steve, what was he called? Steve, the detective in Hawaii Five-0.
Yeah.
Normally what they used to do is get a penknife out of their pocket and run it through the bag of powder, dip their finger in it and go, book him, Dano, or something like that, and take him down. And if Customs had done that with your dad,
that would look really odd.
Got this sort of little squishy pouch of indistinct white liquid.
I mean, it was enough for kind of like I hope people aren't eating, but
it was enough to contaminate an entire continent.
It was enough to create a baby. It looked like in this little plastic
I think we've all said
bag,
that before.
In this little tiny little lock seal
Ziploc bag,
Ziploc bag,
which often carry illicit substances. Let's face it.
My dad came over with some little tiny weeny bits of milk kefir grains, which looked like it could have been an ejaculate, really, in a bag that he had in his pocket as he went through.
And then the customs people get the penknife out, run it through the plastic, dip their finger in and go, I think you're okay. Please move through. Biometrics next.
So there you go. That's been what's on my mind, and that's why
that was a long answer.
Yeah, that was a long answer, and that's why we've got something.
And that's
like
why,
sample.
Yeah. So it's not
because this is going to be kept. If this survives, it's going to be kept in this office because the carbon dioxide that comes off this, actually helps to feed the plants as well. So
Matty knows. Steve McGarrett, yes, wasn't he a handsome fella? Did you ever watch Hawaii Five-0?
No.
Right, sing along, everybody at home.
See, I know the music, but I don't know the show.
Wow, and it's all coming back to me. The plane flying overhead, the people in the canoes. Oh.
What day was that on? Was that when I was?
It would have been. It's got to be from Thursday onwards, like after Top of the Pops or a Friday night.
Top of the Pops.
It might have been.
But wasn't that? Or was that before Tomorrow as well?
Tomorrow as well. But and then you'd have Dukes of Hazzard. You'd have these great American programs. Thank you, America. Now it's our turn today to do something for you, American friends here today. We've got Phil and we've got Ian, Coach Turner.
Yeah.
Joy. Oh, sorry.
What happened there?
I don't know. Joining us at 9 o'clock.
I was just putting faces.
Joining us at 9 o'clock. And Bobby O'Reilly joining us at 9:30. Rugby fans, all of them. And we're going to explain what rugby is because Portugal. Let me just.
That'll be when I start looking after the kids, probably.
No, well, it's aimed at people like you.
Oh, okay.
Who've often wondered about the odd-shaped balls that men are fascinated with, and there may be. I mean, this is how we would.
I always just wonder why men would create a game where they have to have a massive
Pile
hug.
up. Yeah.
Bundle! Where they have to get really close in person.
Well,
yeah.
yes, we can ask them about that because
I mean, like, what's in?
I can't answer.
I can't bear getting that close to people that I'm not actually.
So the idea of being with 14 friendly women that you get close with, and together you take on another 15 unfriendly women, does not appeal to you.
That would just never happen.
The essence of rugby, right there.
That would just never happen if it wasn't for a game. Like,
wasn't that a night out in Kent though?
No, I mean, like, we never went around in great big packs.
Oh,
like
you so did. I've seen it on TV, on CCTV.
We might, like, the only hot and sweaty thing where, you know, we might be close to each other is dancing, but we never sort of got close. We never danced so close to each other that we would be almost dry humping each other on a football field.
Well, there you go. There's another explanation of what rugby is like for you. Dry humping.
I mean, is it really an excuse for men to kind of brutalize each other?
Oh yeah, I think it is. It's all of the above. It's so interesting, and I don't know how much we'll go into the psychology of rugby, but they are here,
well,
and they can be asked.
So many people
that.
get like I actually dated a semi-pro rugby guy.
Yes, who doesn't like to date a semi-pro first thing in the morning? Go on, carry on.
And his ears were so mashed up, and like. What the hell is that about?
On a date, and you can't hear each other because the restaurant's really loud. So lean forward. I just want to whisper something in your ear. They lean forward. Ah!
And I just thought, he really seemed to get something out of having one of these great big, like, I don't know. I mean, I just don't understand what it is to be a guy, I guess.
Right. Well, no, you don't.
Or someone that wants to get hurt, like.
Yeah, all of those. The time. Yes. So you see, you were saying I'm going to go and look after the kids when the rugby bit comes on. But I mean, that's a fascinating conversation to be having, is it not?
Hang on, there's something.
There's lots of.
Is that from Matty?
Which bit?
14 friendly women in one spot. That won't last long,
or does it? Well, no, it's not you, Matty. It's not one of your fantasies where you are being bundled by 14 friendly women. That is not rugby. That's a different kind of sport. I don't know if that's something they do in Germany. But actually, and for some of you here, you might like to be bundled by 14 friendly women and plus 15 unfriendly women. That's some people's idea of a good night out, isn't it? Not mine, I hasten to add. But if I can move on from that part of the rugby discussion, and we've got some catching up to do. But suffice to say, maybe this is why you don't come very often here to the show, because it gets like this.
It does get a bit like free for all, doesn't it?
It does, because P hasn't been here for a while. Stephen, who doesn't want to see that kind of live stream first thing in the morning. Matty asking Victoria if she's going to Lagos rather than Lagos in Nigeria. Today, how was the meetup yesterday? Sunny Portimao, all aboard the kids from Sunny Portimao. How was the meetup yesterday, Victoria? Do let us know. Hope you all had a great time there. Where's the cheese? Somebody move my cheese. So you don't make cheese yet, do you? Or
actually,
not on purpose?
I can bring some cheese.
Right.
I can bring some cheese out to show.
That you've made?
Yeah.
Okay. Show and tell on the Good Morning Portugal show. I did mention Colts. I've mentioned rugby. I feel like I've got so many loose ends flapping in the wind at the moment that I need to resolve in some skillful way, which evades me right now.
Oh, do you want me to help you with your flappy end?
You see, you're not helping. You really are not helping with comments like that when I'm trying to be professional here.
Professional.
Now, just the rugby bit. The reason we're talking about rugby is because Portugal. No, okay, let me rewind a step further. When you come,
sorry to interrupt. Every time I hear Portugal, I always in my head hear, "There's a YouTube show."
I'm glad.
Am I the only one that hears that?
No, I hear it as well.
God, in Portugal,
there's a YouTube show.
In Portugal, how does
full of fun facts that you need to know? I call rings his bell. Right. Okay. You see, I start off trying to explain something, and that happens. So when you come to Portugal, there are good things to do to assimilate and integrate into the culture. Football is one of them. And we've tried to do that on a number of occasions, help people pick a team, understand football if they don't understand football. Today it's rugby, which is a really good bonding moment, potentially, with Portuguese people, because Portuguese people love sport. They have a respectable rugby team, which we'll hear more about from the people who know something about this, because I don't. And I thought it might be useful as well as a bonding thing between the Brits and the US people who have their version of rugby in a way, don't they? American football and all that sort of confusion.
You're going to get some...
no, I think we can keep it respectful.
You're going to get a bit of pushback on that.
Yeah, nice. I like it. It's like no pun intended or pun intended on pushback there from the linebackers. Or what was it that Terence Austin, he's got a very interesting American football position that he talks about, which is a double entendre and a half. Garvo will help us with that.
Well, I do know that American football's also taking off here, because we met a lovely couple at the pit stop a few times.
And they are Soul Finesse, and that's their menu for this weekend.
That's great.
And Dan is an American football coach.
Oh, well, that actually wasn't the person I was talking to.
No,
that wasn't the lovely American I was talking about.
Right.
The Polish American guy that we know.
Oh yes.
He's built for it.
Well, those two are getting together.
Yep.
Yeah. Dan said to him, "You should be playing American football," and he's thinking about doing it.
Yeah.
You see, so the Portuguese are sports mad. And rugby is one of the, well, I think Portuguese people, if you say there's sport involved, it's like, there's food and drink involved. It's just a natural thing for many Portuguese people. Sorry to generalize. If you're Katia Lima might be going, oh, it's stereotypes.
Imagine she
enough. We'll talk about that next time, Carl. But generally speaking, Portuguese people loving the sport, and the Portuguese team are in the World Cup, which happens in September. I've never been this far ahead of something, but I just thought, well, we have these three men in the same place later on today. Coach Turner, Big Phil, those two, I think, played rugby. I know Bobby's a fan. I don't know if he played or not. He probably played brutal Irish sports when he was growing up. And then there's me, who played one competitive game of rugby, disappeared from the field during the match. Nobody noticed. And that rather overshadowed my sporting career. It was so embarrassing. I didn't show my face again.
Was that as embarrassing as me coming last in a Medway fun run of 780 odd people?
I don't know.
Being beaten by my mum and dad, who'd actually stopped off to have a cup of tea.
I think you probably get the medal for that, not in any good way. I have to say. So there's us. That tells you a lot about the Munson household and their grasp on sport and athleticism. So thank you for letting me get that bit.
Yeah. Okay.
The cult I mentioned earlier on, I posted up a meme yesterday. This one, no, not that one. That's what we're coming to in just a moment. But look, it's all about the big buildings, isn't it? This morning, and normalize buying hundreds of acres of land with your friends, growing your own food, medicinal plants, and families together.
Yeah.
And somebody said, "Oh, that's a cult." I'm saying, everyone's in cults. It's just like you got to choose your cult wisely. Whatever if you go to a what are they called? Cosplay, Comic-Con, or all those, everyone's got their cults.
I have been to one of those kind of places.
Let's not go there right now. It's not. I'm not interested. It's just that could be a distraction that could take us further away from our goal. Mainstream culture's a cult, isn't it? The clue is in cult and culture. So when
speaking of cultures,
exactly, there's another one. There's the kefir cult. There's the kombucha cult. Whatever your interest is, and it's typical of anything, isn't it? It's what you do with it that counts. Cults have got a really bad name, of course, because of how they've been portrayed and used as tools to frighten and control people. But let's whenever people get together, and this is what inevitably comes up, post a meme like this and people saying, yeah, I'm in. Yes, but what are the rules if there's a disagreement? And of course, that's just life. It's an interesting conversation, so much so that people are saying, yes, let's do it. Let's have a conference call and decide where we're living.
Do you remember all those years ago, before he came out here, there were a group of people who'd got some land and they were looking for extra people.
Yes.
And it all sounded really positive, and it all sounded kind of benignly positive.
Yes.
And it was like passed our way because it was thought that we might be good communards to be part of it.
As non-smoking vegan teetotalers.
But then we looked at the rules and it was like, oh, yeah, that's
probably not for us.
That's not for us
cult.
Because, like any cult that we join has to have the ability
Fun?
for us to have fun,
Yes.
for us to laugh at ourselves, for us to be
Yes.
able to change our minds, and to be able to engage in things. We need a cult that trusts us to be ourselves
Yeah.
and to
Well,
know that we're still going to be okay. And
and
sometimes we might
also,
not, and we can have a
yes,
conversation about it.
yes. And no, it wasn't a sex cult, Pete. Why do you always? And I don't think it was. I mean, we didn't get far enough to find out what goes on a Saturday night. Do we want to know? Naked Twister was not mentioned. Do we want to know?
I went to a convention that somebody else paid for. I don't think I'd have paid to go.
Right.
And I didn't dress up.
Was it with cauliflower ear guy?
No.
Different date?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't.
Okay.
It wasn't. I was going to say it wasn't sexual. I mean, it wasn't a cult to do about sex at all. So guess
that was a different date.
No, that was it is based on a program. I'm not saying which one. You have to guess which one it was. But people were dressed up.
Did you dress up?
No.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely not.
Oh, that's a bit snooty, isn't it? If you got don't. I've been watching videos with the kids, VAT 19, and they tried to make me laugh videos. We have a mouthful of water. I thought you were I thought you were going to spray me with water.
I am childish.
Inadvertent. No, I thought sometimes it can't be helped, can it? I've been with friends who've put tea through their nose. That's one of the most elegant, inadvertent laughs I've ever seen. Is out with a friend when we were teenagers, having a cup of tea down the old soda bar or whatever. Big gulp of tea, crack someone up, and the tea comes back out of their nose, back into the cup.
No
almost good enough to drink again.
Lovely.
Or it was a hot chocolate, maybe. That would have been a pretty hideous sight to see. Okay, enough of that disgusting spraying of water. Let's see what's what this morning before these gentlemen
and ejaculates
exactly at the airport.
In airports.
Bom dia, Gumpers. It's Friday. Putting the sex in sexta-feira, running around. Let's say hello to everyone now. And say, look, Phil's here. And running around and organising day to day before he's had a birthday,
Yeah, big
about his birthday. I think he's had a great time with that birthday. Running around and organising day to day before a busy weekend, coaching tomorrow and helping at a 10K race on Sunday morning. You'll see him in a little while, cooking for Mrs. T tonight. He's a busy fella, isn't he?
Yeah.
God's got to with the day then today, managed to drop a further half a kilo. He's wasting away.
Or he's a dealer.
He dropped. We're back to Hawaii 5-0.
I mean, you need to be a real fast runner, don't you?
Steve
You're
McGarrett.
Do that.
Yeah, watch out, Steve McGarrett.
Don't have to worry about a getaway car then, do you?
Yeah. Well, because you've got the coach.
Because you got the coach.
Just legs it.
He's like one of the fastest men in the UK.
He's going to get invited to a meeting with some shady characters. We've heard you're fast. Well, I like to think I'm in the masters category. Right, here he is now. So just about where I started before the debauchery last weekend. Had a nice beef chili with whole grain rice for lunch. Whole grains, very good for the bowel health.
You hate that rice. If ever I buy
brown
it,
rice. No,
you get really upset if I get that.
You've got to put some stock in it, haven't you? Otherwise, it is like eating what comes with Amazon packages. Maybe we should eat what comes with Amazon packages with stock on. A snack of nuts. Who doesn't like raisins and oranges after training, and a few crackers and cheese. Yes, me too. Last night, after a few glasses of wine, it did actually give me dreams eating cheese late at night. It's true what they say. When I arrived home after coaching, no booze, just lots of water. Well done,
you got to rehydrate after legging it around London.
I am. So for me, having one main meal a day plus one other small meal seems to work for dropping a little weight each day. It is offset by the occasional blowout. We just can't do that all the time. I mean, we know what happens if you do that all the time, don't we? But what a way to go. Okay, and James is in Bom dia, Gumpers. Feliz sexta a todos. Como vão as coisas? And I have your visual dad joke, which I neglected earlier on this week. And this is Friday when we try to bring everything together that we forgot to share. Me mainly, during the week. So we've got a visual dad joke to go with the others later from you, James. Thank you for being here. That sort of meal regime might not work for you, but it might be worth a try, says Coach T with the continuation of his God Squad tip of the day today. Bon dia, Gumpers, then. Let's go into T-Duck's wonderful content this morning. Bon dia, Alegria, Gumpers, he says, deep thought. This has been Lewis Carroll, not Lois Carroll. Lewis Carroll this week. If you don't know where you're going, any road can take you there.
I like that.
Is that a good or a bad thing, though? I wonder.
Well, it's a bit like
a positive or negative.
It's a bit like that. That thing that you say. When someone says, "Oh, that's such a a shame, and you say
It
maybe
may be.
it
may be not.
it may not be,
Yes, Chinese
because
wisdom.
you never know if something's really good or bad until you get the gift of hindsight.
Just how we judge it, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then rejudge it. Lewis Carroll was noted for his facility with word play, logic, and fantasy. Well,
I love that word, facility.
And wouldn't have gone amiss at a Comic-Con convention as a word player, logician, and fantasy fan. Kane Sabia then this morning, although there are numerous monuments from various ages throughout Portugal, some of them have a special value due to their historical, architectural, artistic, and cultural importance. Have you ever wondered what the word patrimonio means when you see it up on a wall? These sites are classified and protected by the Institute for the Management of Architectural and Archaeological Heritage. Would you like to read that next bit, Mrs. M?
I have no idea.
The Direção Geral do Patrimônio Cultural.
I was waiting for something else to be put on. I was already miles away.
Okay, and do you know which building
No.
is in the picture? You've been there?
Oh, is that the one with the best toilet in?
No,
Lisbon,
not the
with
sexiest toilet. No,
the best toilet paper in.
No,
Lisbon.
that's not Praça do
Oh,
Comércio.
is that the place where we saw the really beautiful way that Portuguese people treat each other in the workplace?
It is the Ajuda Palace. Well spotted, Mrs. M.
I love
Very
that
good.
place.
Yeah,
very nice.
It is lovely. I think
I didn't really focus much on the outside because the kids were like running around and it was a hot day.
The workers you saw, I think, may
beautiful.
well work for the DGPC here, the Direção Geral do Patrimônio Cultural. Let's learn a little bit more about it. The institution classifies national treasures, not people, just buildings, I think, of several general criteria. And here they are: historic and cultural, aesthetic and social, technical and scientific, but also includes issues of integrity, authenticity, and exemplary importance. They sound like great values, don't they?
They do. I absolutely recommend having a trip there to the Ajuda Palace, because afterwards, if you just nip over the road a little bit up or down, I can't quite remember, you've got the gardens as well.
Let me point your microphone that way, then you'll be able to talk into it. So each time you look at me, we don't lose your audio.
But you lose my face.
No, not trying. No, okay. I think this is working better though. The setup, is it not?
Yeah,
okay.
but I mean, Ajuda is a great place to you can easy sort of spend a good long half day. It's
lovely,
there.
great place,
it's really beautiful,
absolutely brilliant.
Thank you. And you can head back down the hill and go and get your pastéis
at Belém, pastéis de Belém.
Yeah,
yep, really good.
Or
so
McDonald's.
If you've seen that word patrimonio and you're thinking, oh, I bet that's something to do with the patriarchy, boo. No, it's really good stuff. Patrimonio. It's not all bad. Anything beginning with PAT is not all bad these days. This was a meme that you put up, which I thought we should discuss as well. I don't procrastinate, but I do intentionally wait until the last minute, because then I will be older and therefore wiser.
Yeah, there's some
That's one
that.
for you procrastinators there to say to people who accuse you of leaving things to the last minute. No, I'm just waiting till I'm older and wiser.
You're giving yourself the choice to change your mind, which could be very, very useful.
Everybody should have that choice in life, I would say. Thank you very much.
It's all about choice.
T-Duck, and to you, Mrs. M, for that one. Ancient Mariners clenching. Good morning, all. Tail clenched firmly between legs this morning, as I appear to have inadvertently offended Carl Munson. I'm being... No, you know, what's happening, I think, Ancient Mariner, is you're sending messages to a different... I'm not getting your messages. Isn't this awful that he thinks I'm ignoring him?
Oh,
I
no.
don't have any... I didn't get that message. Oh, no, I wasn't making a joke yesterday. I'm not seeing anything from you. We've had a breakdown in communication, and not a bad one. But we do need a counsellor here to sort this out.
Well, hang on. Allow me to step into the fray.
All right, you see if you can find his contributions. I am now being studiously ignored. You're not being ignored. This is how problems can develop between people, isn't it?
Isn't that weird?
Sorry and all that. No need to apologize. My bad. Mea culpa.
Oh, no.
We got to put this right. We have to put this
What's
right.
happened? Did you just get deleted or something?
Don't know. Not sure what's happening there. So, Matty, we'll come back and we'll sort that out. But nothing going on here, Ancient Mariner. And thank you for saying so, by the way.
Ancient Mariner, you friended me up on Facebook. Drop me your number and I will, behind the scenes, make sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
I will send you a number. I will send you a message from Carl's online.
What a disaster in the community.
WhatsApp straight to you, because we love listening to your messages.
We do, don't we? We absolutely do. We love hearing from you. And there's nothing's gone on.
Absolutely nothing at all.
Okay, so it's 9 o'clock.
Isn't that great that he
I think
said that so we could clear that up?
And then it makes you wonder, like that Kermit the Frog looking out of a rain-soaked window. I wonder how many other people have I offended, not knowing that I've offended them? And there they are, going about their business, being slightly hurt somewhere else in another corner of the world.
Well, that is how it works, isn't it?
What?
You know,
I've offended loads of people.
No. What I mean is, like, I haven't heard from someone for ages, and I think, ooh,
what did I do?
What did I do?
Mm.
Did I do something?
I don't. I just think they're really rude, and they're not. Haven't been in touch with me. But anyway, just as I'm about to bring him onto the screen, he disappeared. But we got Coach Turner here.
Morning.
Morning. Hola,
Morning.
How are
morning.
you? How are you? Beautiful day.
I've got half a cockerel stuck over me. That's fun.
Some people like that. Some people don't.
Do you know what?
There you go. I'll take it for the team.
Cole was struggling with that cock this morning, weren't you?
I'll make it look like it's the cockerel speaking this morning.
Who doesn't like to struggle with it?
Yes, thank you, Ian. Lovely day in the UK. You've had a good spell of great weather, haven't you?
Oh, about 2 weeks of it. I mean, the garden's struggling, but the rest of us are quite liking it.
It's happened. You've got to water.
Yeah, you've got to. We have had to water the garden a couple of times. So.
Excellent. Well, lovely to see you in your garden there. And have we spoken to you since you celebrated your recent Masters win?
No. I mean, it was only a very low key meeting.
You say that. Well, we're very proud of you. So well done.
Yeah, I was quite proud, but my hamstring's been complaining ever since. So
okay.
I'm having to be a bit careful and won't be competing till it's mended. So,
so you have to rest
it, but yeah, I just got to. Well, I trained yesterday.
What do you do, Ian? What do you do to?
That's a very good question.
Heal yourself, because I mean,
I should be resting it, but I'm not.
Oh, okay. Like, do you do any visualization techniques and things like that? Because of
what
I don't know if you get on the metaphysical.
Oh no, for the healing.
For the healing.
All around healing.
Or do you talk to the different parts of your body and give it a bit of a pep talk?
No.
No.
No. I mean, I do try to stretch and do all those good things. I probably don't do enough. I've also got a frozen shoulder, which is annoying.
Oh my word!
That's because the nerve that runs down, across here and down the arm, is just being annoyed by the muscles in the shoulder, and so they are tensing up, which makes it worse, and it's a sort of unvirtuous circle. So I'm having physio on that. But that's easing up. My hamstring's improving, and I was training yesterday, so I've just got to be easy with it and not overdo it, but do more stretching really, for shoulder and hamstring.
So rest would be the main thing, which you are not doing.
Which I'm not doing, but I'm not pushing it too far, so I'm not making it worse.
All right. Well, good luck in your next competition. When's that going to be?
Well, there is one in a couple of weeks' time, but I suspect I won't be ready for it. So.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
unfortunately, at sort of my advanced stage, trying to compete regularly is quite difficult. There's not many people that can manage it.
Do you remember when Wayne Rooney hurt his toe in the World Cup? The whole country started visualizing. We could do that for your hamstring. So the Gumpers can be thinking about.
Is it your left or right?
Yeah,
we need to visualize the right one, don't we?
It's my left.
Your left.
In fact, talking to the physio yesterday, there must be some sort of weakness on my left side because it's all the problems are on my left.
Interesting stuff.
Are you left-handed or right-handed?
Right-handed.
Right-handed.
This is turning into.
That's what she asked.
Really?
But yeah, indeed.
Very good. Right, let's give him a round of applause. And we can play a game now. Who will be distressed by the cock? As we bring them onto the screen. Let's see what. It's our favourite game show. Nobody. However, we're hidden on the top row now. Phil, belated birthday wishes. You've had a fun.
It's not working, love. I've got intermittent signal.
Should we? Do we?
Just so you know, we can hear you.
We can hear you.
Oh, let me tell you. Can you hear me? Good morning.
Yes.
Oh God! Can I tell you what You guys. We've been tramping around your old stomping ground in Devon,
Yeah.
and to say signal is intermittent down here is a understatement. It's an
Yeah.
understatement.
Hey, you know what?
I'm
What's
so
it
sorry.
doing on that internet? We've got animals to play with. We've got lovely planted
Uh,
trees. What you been doing on
Come
that
on, my lovers.
internet?
What are you up to?
You know
Why
what?
you? I'm parked up in a Costa's car park with Lady K sitting next to me, and there was the tiniest little space. There's that whole empty car park, and the tiniest little space between me and a bush. And this guy comes and parks there. It's like, really, whole car park. Could
Friendliness.
park anywhere.
Oh,
And
I'm
you
a,
that's the
you're
famous.
providing shade, Phil.
Or it's that credit and dogging meetup.
Whereabouts in Devon are you? Are you actually?
well, in fairness, I've been a bit naughty because we're on our way heading back down to Croydon, and currently we are actually in summer. We're in Somerset now.
Somerset.
We're Ilminster.
Oh,
Very nice.
Ilminster. Yeah, it's a lovely part of the
Yeah,
world.
it's lovely. Oh, we loved it. We've had 2 wonderful days with friends celebrating somebody's 60th birthday. Not mine this time, thank God. And because there's been enough crying on Facebook. What can I tell you? There
Well,
just has.
what
I know
just
it's
tell
giving
us.
permission to big blokes to cry on Facebook, but really, it's enough. It's enough.
Well, Lady K, I think, did an amazing job to set the scene for celebrating your birthday, and you looked like you had a wonderful time, Phil. So, belated birthday wishes from me and Mrs. M and our family and all the
Thank
Gumpers.
you.
And coach.
Thank you.
Coach.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Coach. And Coach, have you noticed my tag today is Phil the 1 million steps?
Oh
No,
no,
I haven't.
So I've got to
That's
talk
impressive.
about this. Can you see that? Does it say 1 million steps on there?
I've changed it. Yeah, so
1
we can
million
see
steps.
1 million.
Yeah.
steps.
So this is what. Yeah. This is. Let me tell you. I had on our dream board for we love the dream boards and thoughts become things and all of that stuff.
Yep.
And I've had on the dream board 1 million for charity. And I'm nowhere near getting £1 million ready for charity. And I was sitting there thinking, how can I do 1 million for charity, 1 million for charity? And about 2 hours later, I flicked into Facebook, and there came up UK Diabetes UK, who said, why don't you do 1 million steps for charity? I mean, you can't make this stuff up.
Oh,
So I've
wow.
signed up, and I'm going to do 1 million steps for charity, and I'm going to be going for sponsorship and shares all over the place. I want lots of people to talk about it because you realise if you could just gain 1p for every one of those 1 million steps, you'd have raised 10,000 quid. I mean,
Well said,
there's
yeah.
got to be something worth doing. So I'm going to do that. It's lots of baby steps, and as you know, if you put in your destination and take a few baby steps, you can't fail to reach your target.
Love that, Phil, and we'll be happy
Have
to
you all
support you with
frozen?
that, of
Have I
course.
lost you?
We're here.
We've got a penny or two, haven't
That's
we?
it.
Yeah. So how far
Can't hear you.
this?
I think I've got technology meltdown.
No. We can hear you. We can hear you. What can we? We can hear you.
I'm not sure he can hear us though.
No, you can't. Can you? But that was very interesting information there,
Lost
Ian.
it.
How far is 1 million steps? Would you say?
Oh, blimey. Give me a moment to work that one out.
Yeah, I think other people in our community will be figuring that out as well.
I think it's somebody's birthday today.
Do you?
Because I've seen.
It will be. That'd be to be fair. There are 8 billion people on the planet.
Yeah, well, allegedly, but in the chat I can see birthday messages.
Should we find out who that is then?
I think it's Slug.
Is it James? Is it James's
I think
birthday? Is he keeping it?
He's got the profile of a
Why
Gemini.
did he not say that?
I don't know.
Okay, so happy birthday to you, James, if it is indeed your birthday. And if it isn't, just bank it for now.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, just store them up for the next time.
Yeah, exactly. So
hopefully there'll be a next time.
Yeah, definitely.
Looking on the bright side. Phil's already gone off on his 1 million steps, so yeah. I will just take it, remove him from the screen for the time being, and then
he could earn a lot of money doing that, couldn't he?
I think so. And isn't that brilliant?
What would be easier than 1 million steps, though?
500,000.
Okay. Oh, I was thinking.
Well, if you do 10,000 a day, how long is 1 million going to take?
I don't know. I'm going to leave that to
We'll let you work that out.
That's a quiz. I do know the answer, but I don't want to spoil it for anybody. So if anybody wants to guess, is it A, B, or C in the chat? We're loving that though. So he had on his vision board 1 million for charity. And that's a way of doing 1 million for charity. That's really rather marvelous. Okay. And we need to find out if it is James's birthday.
He could do 1 million positive words. He'd race through
He's
that.
probably already done that, hasn't he?
Yeah.
I make cheese in my cheap decathlon. Matty, it's James's birthday, and you're spoiling it. Top temperature today in Portugal, 39 in the Alentejo. Summer should be quite hot. Well, you hope so. Yeah. Bonding with rugby is called a scrum. So that's James who's demonstrating his grasp of the. I mean, there are other aspects of rugby that are bonding, like the drinking afterwards. Oh, and before the match. Is that right, Ian?
Yeah, has been known.
It has been known.
What is the love of getting up close and personal with a load of sweaty guys?
We're not talking about that till 9:30. So
being
you're going to
pinned down by a load of sweaty guys.
Okay, let's go there now briefly. Ian, over to you.
I do miss it. I don't know what it was. I stopped playing in my mid-30s because injuries were taking longer and longer to mend.
Oh,
and I had a life of children, and life was busy. And you'd go off in the morning. You'd have a couple of pints at lunchtime. Probably, and then go and play rugby, and then have some more pints later.
Yeah,
and so you were out all day, and it just didn't, wasn't appropriate. But I did really enjoy it. You don't even think about the sort of the physical contact bit. I know that seems a bit weird to people that haven't played. But apart from the bit that hurts, if you get hit.
Yeah,
that's not pleasant.
Brings you into the moment.
But I used to play all sorts of different positions, but scrum later on, and you just got on with it.
Yeah,
I can't explain it. But
no, it's just like when you go out shopping. When you go shopping for handbags and shoes,
which never happens.
You don't know why, you just do it.
Yeah, I don't understand that either.
When was the last time I bought a bag?
I'm just saying, people don't really necessarily consciously know why they do things. It's cultural, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I was just trying to work out what need it satisfies in men.
Well,
and I guess that's different and personal.
There's certainly a big social element to it.
Right. Okay.
Huge social element. And that's probably the bit I miss the most. Not the actual.
Yeah, you can understand that. Yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting. And we don't often know, do we? These are very primal needs that are being met. And I think often we're not that conscious necessarily of what the technicalities of that are. So I think it's fascinating.
Well, like having a tribe, like being part of
all sorts. It ticks a lot of boxes, doesn't it? I suspect. Yeah. So it is James's birthday. Look at this. Auspicious month indeed. Pam and her twin are also June babies, Junior babies too. So happy birthday to all the Geminis and the June people. And thank you, James, for being here this morning to celebrate with us. Yeah, cheers. Oh, that's bad luck in Portugal. I'm not doing that. You're not allowed to toast with water.
Oh.
Yeah, but can you get me some wine? Or that
I'm not in Portugal.
You're all right. No. It's okay. I will raise a glass to you later on today, James. Today is celebrated the 650th anniversary of the alliance between Portugal and the UK.
Fantastic.
Why wasn't I invited to top level celebrations about this? I want to know. But I think there's a fly past of some sort today in Lisbon that celebrates that, and I will catch up with that over the weekend and report on it. Okay, brilliant. Who else is here this morning? Well, Antonio F is certainly here. Gemini cult. Okay, that is one of the subcults here. Happy birthday, James. 5th birthday in the last 3 weeks. So happy birthday to all of you. Adoros. And they do have a cult near them. Can we read this out from Peter this morning?
Go on.
Okay,
I haven't read it.
We have a cult near us. And what was so brilliant was our 73-year-old mate went, investigated, and came to the conclusion it was a sex cult. God, we love Central Portugal.
Brilliant.
I don't know how they qualified. I mean, because you could say, I mean, some marriages are sex cults, aren't they? You know, sexual relations go
If
on.
it's a good marriage, yes.
Yeah, and you know, does that make it a sex cult? I wonder.
Well,
or is this just British? Like, oh, it's a sex cult. Oh, disgusting. I don't know. Teletubby cosplay. Get your tinky winky up.
I
This is why
didn't go to a.
and he wonders why I don't answer his WhatsApp messages.
Love it. You shouldn't say things like that because
Right,
it's not that you're not answering him.
No, that's
he hasn't
right.
shown up.
You're quite right. Also, then moving from
and he's still not showing
different cults to others, those in the cult of loving aeroplanes, June 17th and 18th, Beja International Air Show. Did you know there was an airport or a aerodrome or similar, Ian, in Beja? Have you been to that? No, me neither.
Used to me.
Thank you, Antonio, for that. And Matty and Pete are chatting. Won't be back at my Quinta this weekend as I have to wait for the dog. Living the dream. He's got to stay in and wait for dog food. Worst excuse ever for not having a life, Matty. What? We're living in the 21st century and you're waiting in for dog food.
Bless him, he cares about his dog.
I know he does, but come on, that can't be right, can it? In the age of AI, people are still waiting in for dog food.
That might be code for something else.
Oh, now that makes sense.
Wait, Central Portugal.
Yes, I get it. Yeah. Okay.
Well, we've just got rid of a cult in the UK, haven't we?
Which one?
The cult of Boris Johnson.
Don't speak too soon. That's the thing about cults, isn't it? They don't think they've done anything wrong. So that's a very interesting cult analysis there, isn't it? Is that you might
providing you spell it correctly.
Yes, but they're not. It's not over yet, I don't think. As much as everyone would like it to, or many people would like it to be. That's a very interesting cult observation there, Ian. Coach T won't be back at my Quinta waiting for the dog food. Well, George, good to see you here.
Who's George? I've never
George Jensen.
I've never seen George before.
More prevalent
Hello, George.
in our community.
Doesn't he make very, very fine stainless steel cutlery?
That might be Jensen, more of the Scandinavian, but it is sounding very Scandinavian, not unlike the Munson, the Jensen here. Would you care to explain yourself, George Jensen? Good going solar with the land. Make sure you're keeping hydrated and refreshed. He's giving some health advice.
That's lovely.
Yeah, very good.
That's really good.
Good to see you here, George.
Yeah,
and Rugby Colin likes the idea of rugby chat. Now, Colin, Rugby Colin, as you used to call him. He knows a thing or two about rugby, doesn't he, Ian?
Yeah,
he does. He does indeed. Yes.
I
met his brother in Silverstone last weekend.
Oh, did you? Right. So love cars as well.
Yeah, his brother was racing, and came over to find us while we were playing cars and not making it go very well.
Okay. Well, that's all part of the fun, I'm told.
It is.
Yeah. Celebration of the Portugal-UK treaty. Oh, next Sunday. Okay, that's interesting. June the 18th, there'll be a small exhibition of the Portuguese Air Force where 2 F-16s will be in the air and the RAFs, Red Arrows, will be in the skies as well in Lisbon at midday. That's looking great.
When you said next, I think he means like this upcoming because the 18th is in 2 days.
2 days time this Sunday then, midday, mostly over the River Tejo, Avenida de Liberdade and Parque Eduardo. The 7th, Sétimo there. So very good. That's celebrating the Treaty of Windsor. Bon dia, Phil and Lady K. Lovely having you guys over for your birthday. What wonderful bin lids you have. That's Cockney. That's touching the old Cockney rhyming slang for kids there. Yeah. For anyone who's actually thought that Phil and Lady K carry bin lids around with them whilst they're traveling central Portugal. Okay, so yeah, Matty and Pete, go ahead. Use this chat for just to have a private conversation. Why don't you? Million steps. Here you go. Somebody intelligent. Stephen Wells and mathematically gifted. Million steps is 2,700 a day for a year. That's not a small undertaking then, Ian.
Well, I was working it out at 10,000 steps because that's kind of the norm that people aspire to. And
right.
Yeah, I don't manage it, but anyway, do sometimes.
So you could do it in a quarter.
But 10,000 steps a day for 100 days is I mean, steps. It is quite an undertaking.
Yeah, okay. But we've got the technology to support it, haven't we? I mean, people can measure this on their watches or with sat-nav or whatever. And so, nice one, Phil, if we ever speak to him again. Obrigado todos on the birthday wishes. Concerning the next one, as my mother used to say about getting older, it beats the alternative. Absolutely right.
And I believe it's somebody else's birthday as well.
It is also day that today is Doc Thompson's birthday too. So happy birthday to you.
What is it with you and all your Gemini co-hosts?
Do not know.
And guests.
What does that tell you? You're the astrologer. What would you be your analysis?
Well, it figures because
Cancerians and Geminis get along real nice.
Not especially, but
usually.
Like I don't really believe in sort of like horoscope side of astrology, but that's interesting. You know, I'd like to do a bit of a study in terms of you know, who watches and also the people you have on your show, because it does seem like there's a bit of a
preponderance.
Yeah, there's a lot of Gemini.
Preponderance of Geminis.
Yeah, I think any pattern's worth exploring. So
okay, very good. Rugby Colonel is not usually here on a Friday. But he's been banned. No, because of his knees. All right, I thought it was something he said, because that could have happened. To be honest, couldn't it? He is quite outspoken.
Pickleball people can be a bit touchy, as we found out.
Oh yeah, that's right. Don't touch my racket. That's my racket. Yeah. Okay, but no, it's fair enough. You shouldn't mess with another man's equipment.
No, definitely not,
especially without permission.
But yeah,
all right.
Without your wife's permission.
So he's poor.
I was okay.
Right. Yoga. Oh, don't walk away with your headphones on, love. Oh, yeah. Have you got a situation? Like it's kicking off. It's kicking off.
I may be back, but if not, bon fin de semana, everyone.
And I will tell you about the psychology of men and rugby when over coffee after the show. Okay. So he's got poorly knees as well. I'm going to move a bit further into the middle there, and hopefully Phil will be back. We've got Bobby joining us at 9:30. This morning as well, a rugby fan, and you were saying, Ian, that as an Irish rugby fan, it's good times, is it?
Well, they've certainly been playing very well, right. And some of the rugby I've seen in the last year has been just astonishing. It seems to have gone up another level. I mean, when I used to play very not geriatric, very amateur.
You're right.
It would be geriatric now. Very amateur rugby, and it as I said earlier, I think the drinking was more important than the rugby.
Yeah.
In fact, it got to the. I played for the bottom side of our club, and it came to the point that when the weather was really dire, and you still play, but we used to negotiate with the other side and the referee to shorten the game. And that had two benefits. One, we were always getting cold and wet and horrible. It wasn't enjoyable. And the other reason, we got into the bath before the other teams and had clean water. This was the days when we still had baths in rugby clubs.
And all 30 men.
They're all showers now.
And that's 30 men in a tub together.
Yeah. Well, they were quite large.
Yeah. What, the men or the tub? Okay, you don't have to answer that.
Okay. I won't go there. We definitely played very amateur rugby, and I think rugby in general, from what I've seen, I've watched a few local games over the past year or so, and I think it's lost that level of what used to be called course rugby. I think very amateur. You just do it. You know, it's like the Sunday morning football. Really, it's all about the social side and drinking. And just
totally understand. Yeah, totally understand.
And I think rugby has lost that a bit. But at the top level, it's just reaching heights that I never thought I'd see.
You make this is a very interesting sociological comment, isn't it? Life has changed, isn't it, since the 70s and 80s, when people had lived lives where it was possible to go out for the whole of Saturday, not working, for example, and going off and playing rugby instead, and maybe on a Sunday as well, if it was a busy time of the season. And then on the football pitch, people were probably still drinking in much the same way, maybe having a smoke at half time. You see, I mean, I was watching, we lost, forgive me, I'm not a big I'm not a very knowledgeable football fan, but another great was lost last night, a Leeds United, a Man United player. But the footage I saw on Twitter of how the game was played back in the 70s was amazing. And you can imagine these fellas doing the same as you after the match, having a really good drink and a smoke.
Yeah.
It just wouldn't happen now. It's a different world we live in, isn't it? And some say for the better and some say for the worse, for sure. Oh, I think Bobby's getting ready behind the scenes, and he might have his rugby jersey on, ready for this, to talk about rugby and the Irish chances in the World Cup, as well as Portugal's chances in the World Cup. So let's.
My old rugby jersey got banned from the house.
Why's that?
It walked around on its own. It was disgusting.
I see. Okay, it's more like a lot of kit. You forget to take it out the bag when you get home, and it's
I did have a pair of rugby boots once that went through the summer, i.e., not playing, without being cleaned, and they were growing grass. Got to putting them back on.
Superb. And, well, I wonder what the other parts of the kit were like then after that summer. But again,
I think they'd be washed. But anyway.
Yeah, declared scientific interest. One stride then. So this talk of Phil's disappeared. He has gone off on his first million steps, possibly in Somerset this morning. One stride is more accurately 2 feet or 60 centimeters. Many assume 1 yard or meter, but if you measure from toe to toe, it's 60 centimeters. Thanks, John, for that.
Depends how tall you are. My stride is 80 centimeters.
Oh, there you go.
Measured.
All right. Oh, Phil's back. This is great. So we should have a decent conversation about rugby in a few minutes' time. Let's just say a few more greetings. Yoga should help your knees, not get you banned, Rugby Collar. But Pete probably has a better understanding of the situation. Yoga doesn't always have to be practiced nude, and pickleball always depends on the quality of the pickle. So maybe there's a backstory here that we're not aware of, and why Rugby Collar has been banned from both yoga and pickleball at the moment. Okay, George Jensen, not the cutlery maker we're suspecting, may need a refurb, solar, or upgrade. Grammar's Massimo makes good seats. What? Electronically controlled with suspension positioning system. Ooh, misses. Ubi is here as well. Bondia culties and non-culties. Yes, have a think about that. Are we a cult here? Sarah Yerman is here. I think we are a cult, but a good one. But it's a thin line, isn't it? You never know when you step over it as well. Okay, talking tractor talk in the chat as well. Isn't that amazing? The things people talk about here. And may I ask if anyone else plans being in Porto? For the Plastic Hammer event, this 23rd for the Challenge Royale. We'll be there with a few other friends. Meep, meep, meep. That's the sound of the plastic hammer. Must grind your gears after a while, being bonked on the bonds with a plastic hammer. Do you fancy that, Ian?
Not particularly. Are they like the ones that the kids have that you hit?
Yeah, exactly. Those really annoying things that come in a cracker almost. Yeah. It's a way of making friends in Porto. Waiting.
I prefer to go and watch the Red Arrows. Thanks.
Yeah, that sounds good on Sunday. Waiting for the dog food delivery makes perfect sense to me. In Georgia, we all have front porches, and the delivery guys just leave stuff there. No drama, no porch here. Delivery adventures. Yeah, fair enough. And
actually, just a thought on the Red Arrows. If you went up to the castle in Lisbon, you'd have a fantastic view of them coming down the river, wouldn't
you just? Yeah, and that sounds like a really cool thing to do. If you're anywhere near Lisbon, you'll see the Red Arrows on Sunday celebrating the connection between UK and, well, it dates back to England and Portugal, really, doesn't it? Parabéns, 2 birthday boys today, James and Doc, that are celebrating. It would appear to be Baddy. Thank you for mentioning that. Gemini as well, OLP, happy birthday to all us twins. I can't bear the tension any longer. I think we're going to have our own little scrum on the screen now. So let's give them a nice big round of applause. And let's bring on Bobby O'Reilly and bring on Phil. And let's get rid of that on the screen there so that we can see each other. Good morning.
Hello, John Boy.
Hi, Mary Ellen.
Oh, what's Phil doing? Oh, that was fleshy.
You are all very strange, and I love you muchly.
That's a cult, isn't it? They're right there.
Yeah, right there. The Waltons.
It's more like the Brady Bunch now, though.
The Brady Bunch, absolutely. People might actually think we all say goodnight to each other just because we did last night. In the Waltons. Okay. Bobby, let's just talk about you being in the papers for a moment. You're on Idealista. A lot of people are, I was going to call them Idealista fans, probably not the right word to use. A lot of people use idealista, don't they? Looking for property. And you were a featured interviewee yesterday. What was that about?
Yeah, I was interviewed about a week ago by Idealista, which, hi. I was interviewed by about a week ago with regards to what we're doing in Portugal, why we're in Portugal, are we going to stay in Portugal, etc., etc. So we were, and I was being, actually, I think actually to tame down my answers a bit, to be honest.
Oh, really? Oh, yes, because we have had you being a little bit outspoken just recently, and there are clips to prove it on our YouTube channel. But you held back a little bit, did you, for the Idealista article?
No, I didn't. They actually
they did.
Softened it.
Wow. Okay.
Actually, it was my PR. I have a PR company that sort of reviews everything that I say or whatever that's not live, and basically they try and make sure I don't get myself into trouble. So they were the ones.
They have a tough job then.
Yeah.
It sounds like those brilliant interviews you see, when the movie comes out and those actors are lined up and the journalists are there and they ask a question and the actors look at the PR people that are off screen.
Oh, yeah.
What do you want me to say? do not go there. No. Oh, you went there. Okay, this interview's over. Yeah, so that happens to you by the sound of it in relation to this. What's going on?
They wanted me to actually to cut out parts of it completely, and I said no. That some things need to be said. Now it wasn't that bad. So don't. If you go off and read it and go, what's he talking about? It's not that bad. I haven't gone off the sort of the deep end at all. Right. It's just. I think one of the questions was a political question with regards to what do I feel about the massive habitatio, blah 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 plan, and I gave my opinion of it. And basically, another question was, are you going to continue to invest in Portugal as developers? And again, that big word depends on the political situation. So that was more or less it,
Well, but that's an interesting turnaround, because often the answer you get in Portuguese bureaucracy is it depends. And so you've turned the tables on the culture there. Are you going to stick around? It depends. So that they may not like it up them, so to speak.
I don't think they care, to be honest.
You've got to try harder then to cause a stir. Really, you don't think that who would be they in this instance?
The political establishment. Okay. With regards to anything that affects, I think I told you this before, that a lawyer friend of mine, when I went to him about things that just don't make sense to me, is in, why would you do that? Because it's going against the grain of actually being beneficial to the country, etc. And he turned around and he said to me that the fact that it doesn't make sense has no bearing on the outcome or on the position. Absolutely zero. Mm-hmm. So I had to take that on board as part of the thing going forward. It doesn't matter that it doesn't make sense. That actually doesn't have any bearing on the answer or the question.
Yeah. So please stop trying to look for sense here. That's not the point.
Yeah, more or less.
Fair enough. Very interesting. Okay, so that is you can search for Bobby O'Reilly on Idealista at the moment. On the ground, breaking ground with Herdad de Mayo. How's it going there?
Yeah, we had an issue, a hiccup with Alvará, the licensing, which now is sorted. But again, political shenanigans, if you like.
Shenanigans.
Playing their part, and so we've got it sorted now. But we basically had to stop on site until such time that we got the Alvará. Now we have it, so I'm back to site now. Again, of course, we're coming into the summer, July, August. Not too many want to work in July, August. So yeah, it's put me back a couple of months with regards to the construction side of it. But from a sales side of it, it's fine. It's perfect.
We've got a possible movie here. Back in the 70s, these differences politically might have been played out on a sports field. Why don't we have a massive rugby game on Herdad de Mayo's site, which is flat now, is it not? Between the parties. No, maybe not. Maybe that's going to make things worse. Okay, well, that is what we're going to be talking about this morning. Now, we've got distinctions to make here, and we've also got our first question that's come in, which is brilliant, because we've got a number of things at play here, pardon the pun. One is helping Americans understand rugby. Another is helping people understand the power of sport and rugby in Portuguese culture, so you can make new Portuguese friends and come into the culture. And of course, we're going to look at Portugal's chances in the upcoming Rugby World Cup. Before we go there, can I ask who was a player, who is not, and which teams you support and so on? So just to know where we're coming from. Ian's already said back in the day you were a player, and I think they say about rugby, the older you are, the better you were. How would you rate yourself back in the
Bloody
day,
awful.
Ian? So you were an awful but very enthusiastic and social player of rugby.
Exactly. That's exactly it. It was very much social rugby.
Okay.
Though I did play for Saracens a couple of times, but they're extra Zs or something.
The extra
The team would have been called.
Dose. Okay, so for Americans again who would be listening, that is an official team. And Coach Turner, our very own Coach Turner here, has made it playing for Saracens. So nice one. You can speak with some authority clearly here on the subject. Big Phil, welcome back. Have you found a different dogging site that you're now broadcasting from?
Actually, we haven't got the dog with us, to be honest with you, Clark. So there's no dogging going on here. What can I tell you? We're now in a lay-by along the A303. Technology, I parked up with half an hour to go. I had 5G. The phone was cool. Everything was funky boy. And then all of a sudden, no, it goes, which spot, bash. And I have to drive for 20 minutes. So I apologize to everyone for that. Rugby, yes, played at school, played junior rugby in Leicestershire. Once had the honour of running out at Welford Road for my school team against a Japanese school team. I was, without doubt, the worst player ever to represent my school at rugby. I played prop forward, which is one of the dark arts positions, and I actually managed in one perfect game to spend 80 minutes not touching the ball once, which I believe is some sort of fantastic record. I support. Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I wasn't standing on the wing. I was supposed to get involved. You know.
Yes.
Well,
shame on you. but
yes,
amazing as well. You played rugby against Japan. You can say, can't you?
Japan schools. Yes, I can. I mean, I was only there by default. There was nobody else in my whole year who fancied playing the position I played in, and I was good at shoving, and I was good at that sort of stuff. And actually, it was a time when prop forwards weren't supposed to touch the ball. They were supposed to hit people and get hit and get nasty.
Certainly couldn't catch it.
Happy time.
No, that's why we didn't get past the ball, and they still can't catch the ball. It's genetically incorrect to ask a prop forward to catch a rugby ball. We're not supposed to. Our arms don't actually meet in the middle. We're a different breed of person. Yeah, our arms are shorter. There's this great big lump of flesh in the way. You're not supposed to catch the ball. No, that's as close as they'll get. Can you see that? How am I supposed to catch a rugby ball like that?
He needs help.
I digress. Sorry.
No, you do have the creds. You do have the creds. You have had a go, haven't you? You've represented yourself.
Oh yes, yeah. I played for about 12 years.
The international game, and what I forgot to ask Coach Turner, and a fan. You are a fan of the game, as I understand.
Yeah, I enjoy watching. Though I have to say, the last time I watched at Twickenham, which was quite a long while ago, I really didn't enjoy it because you're so far away from the game, you can't see what's going on. And as Phil alluded to, there's lots of dark art go on that you can see when you watch on the television, but you certainly can't if you're up in the stands. Same applies to Saracens. Saracens are now, a huge side along with the other big teams, and you go along and you're sat in the stands. I enjoy watching if I can stand, by the touchline and watch what's going on.
And see a bit of blood. You can see blood and gouging and all sorts of things.
Exactly. Like that. Right? All of that stuff.
Get spattered with blood occasionally. All right. And you're a fan as well, Phil?
Oh, yes. A lifelong Leicester Tigers fan. I follow England, though I get upset with the bureaucracy around the team. But I honestly preferred the game when it was an amateur era or semi-professional. It was less about the winning. It was more about really having a good hard game and then going to the bar for a pint. And by
That's
the
a
way, the
nice
best place to go and watch rugby is Ireland, because whether you win or you lose, you'll be drinking Guinness for the rest of the evening and make some lifelong friends afterwards.
Which brings us, of course, to Bobby O'Reilly.
Nice,
There we
nice,
go.
Bill. Nice.
Now, so did you play as well, Bobby? We've not talked about this before.
Not like the guys. We didn't have posh schools where I was when I grew up, you know. So that's why we don't talk like the boys here, you know. So we actually we only got into it the same way as we would have got into the soccer game. Would have been after it won the Triple Crown. I think it was in 1980 or 81. Ireland won the Triple Crown, and of course, it was a crazy sport. Ireland beat anyone at that time. It was unbelievable. And we used to have this thing that, like, you know, if you're from Ireland, you never won anything as a country. So like, it was the fact that I think they got a great following in the 80s that followed through after Ireland won the Triple Crown. And of course, every street, every cul-de-sac had its own team, but no one knew the rules. And we were all just basically 50 people aside, if you like, all whacking each other, trying to get the same ball. There was no rules. Well, the referee used to throw in the ball into the scrum, and that would be just some guy that we pulled in, the referee. So it wasn't the same kind of game that the guys were playing. So no, I never played.
But that sounds great, doesn't it? Like, so up for it. We just make a start and see what happens. No rules, passers by, being pulled in to stick the ball in. Fantastic stuff. Okay. And a fan now, though, right, of the game.
Of course.
And this is a good time to be an Irish rugby fan.
Ireland's ranked #1 in the world at the moment, going into the World Cup, which is probably a curse. As the guys probably know well, that we were ranked #1 in the last World Cup. And then just before the World Cup, England destroyed us and knocked the confidence out of us, and we went out in the quarters in the last World Cup, and actually got knocked out by Japan, which was disastrous. But Japan had a great team and a great World Cup as well, you know. But we are, I suppose, if Johnny's allowed play, I don't know if the guys are up to speed with what's happened with Johnny Sexton. If he's allowed to play, there's a something going on at the moment that he could be banned for 24 months, which would basically end his career, for giving out to the referee against when Leinster lost to Munster in the championship, the rugby championship unit, the championship game. But so Ireland's in a great position right now. But of course, going in as favourites, everyone's going to want to beat them, and it's sort of like how would you say? We should do very well in the World Cup. But if you look at the top five ranking teams, one of them won't even make it out of because of the way that it's set up. One of them won't even make it out of the actual qualifiers.
Right. Okay, good. Well, good luck to Ireland then. I think South Africa, am I right in saying the current world champions? Is that right?
Yeah, I was brilliant. I was in Hong Kong when poor old England were after beating the All Blacks and had just said, look, we're just going in here to take the cup home. We'll go eat Rob. And I was in an Irish pub in Hong Kong when the riots were going on. Everyone was in there with an English shirt. And I have to say, I respect English rugby immensely, as I said before. But that day I wore a Springbok shirt. And I was about the only one in there with a Springbok shirt on. And only because I'd come out of South Africa about a week before that, I'd bought it. And but it was a great game. And I came out of the final and walked straight into police and protester demonstration, smack into the middle of a tear gas going, the whole lot. So
wow,
exciting day.
You've got to love a story though, haven't you? That starts. I was in an Irish bar in Hong Kong. It's always going to be an interesting anecdote.
World Cup final.
World Cup final for that. Brilliant. Okay, so we got a little. Go on, Ian.
I remember being in an Irish bar in Hong Kong and watching Ireland.
Oh, what happened there?
He said the wrong word.
I think Huawei didn't like that, maybe. I don't know. He's right, okay. Go on, you were in an Irish bar in Hong Kong and then you disappeared.
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, I think I had a phone call coming. Yeah,
Of course.
randomly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I saw Ireland destroy England, and Brian O'Driscoll scored about 3 tries, and it was
Bod.
luckily I was with a couple of Irish guys, so we had quite a good evening.
I'm sure you did. Yeah, it's guaranteed,
Yeah.
isn't it? Brilliant. Okay, so we got a few things to do here. We need to put forward the idea that learning about rugby is good to help you integrate into Portugal, because the Portuguese team is looking quite respectable, fairly new, I think. Rugby Colin's been involved. Antonio F tells us that there are some 65 rugby clubs, teams in Portugal, including rugby schools, and that's all part of the love of sport generally, I think. Talk about their chances in the World Cup, but it's a good bonding thing. And also, while we're here, there's always this little bit of a rivalry, I think, between American football and rugby. And so we can explain to our American friends here. Bobby is probably might want to comment first on this, judging by the gestures that you were making there, Bobby, about the difference between American football and rugby, so that we can help our American friends understand the genre a little bit. Phil's thinking, you can see that Phil's thinking about how to put this as well, isn't he? So who wants to go first then on this distinction between American football and rugby? Not the same, right? It's a different psychology, different sport. Bobby, I think you had something to say.
I suppose the easiest way to explain it is that obviously to move forward you have to throw the ball backwards or kick it forward, but you have to everyone else before you. Where in American football, it's basically throw the ball forward. So
Yes.
that's and then you have what they call in American football, you have your downs. You have to gain 10 yards or whatever it is within 5 downs. And in rugby, once you have phases, and once you gaining ground, I think it's 20 phases that you hold the possession of the ball once you're moving forward. But I think they're the sort of and we don't kick. Well, you can kick the ball over the bar, but they just get a touchdown where we have to get a try.
Okay, so it's simple. To move forward, you got to pass the ball backwards. It's so easy, isn't it, when you put it like that? Is there anything you want to add to that, Phil? I think Phil's ruminating on a thought here about that.
Well, there's so many differences. I mean, for a start, we don't wear all the kits that American footballers wear with the helmets and the pads. Now, American football hits are harder because they're all got this stuff on, no question. But the fact of the matter is rugby hits hurt more because you've got nothing on. You get, in our day, I'd come off with stud marks all over my body from people treading all over me. That doesn't happen really in American football. I mean, yes, they'll get bloody noses from the helmet grills hitting them. And I love American football, but I recognise it to be a completely different game. Good in its own right, but I grew up playing and watching rugby, so I see stuff on a rugby pitch. I understand exactly what has happened on a rugby pitch. And I've been watching American football for a few decades now, but I still don't notice who did what to set the running back free in the same way as I know instinctively who dropped a scrum, right, to give away the penalty. I know what was going on because I played if you've played a game, you see it differently. Fantastic. I mean, they're both fantastic games. Of course, rugby is a worldwide game and American football is a worldwide competition in America.
Yep. Okay.
World Series.
Saying we don't know a lot about it. We thought you'd gone to bed, OLP. You wished us good night, but we've obviously kept you up with this conversation this evening. Ian, what would you add to that on the distinction and how we can help America understand the rugby?
I think the boys have covered the two main things, i.e. you pass the ball backwards.
Yeah,
and you wear loads of kits in American football, but they're just two totally different games. I don't think just because the balls are similar shape, albeit different size, that they should be compared.
And do we know why is the ball oddly shaped like that? Is that just to add a dimension to the game, or was it a mistake that they thought, okay, the ball got squashed one time, and then we just kept doing it? What is the origin of the oddly shaped ball? No one knows.
You get hit in the wrong place. Sorry.
And you bring it out at parties. Okay, all right, I think we've settled that. Very good.
No, I think it came from rugby school, didn't it?
Okay.
That was where the game.
And they thought
someone picked a ball up. and I
All right.
suspect the ball got squashed at some stage, and they thought, "Oh, this works."
Okay. And a good,
Whereas I mean, Gaelic football uses a round ball. That's a pretty exciting game too.
and even tougher, you could argue as well. And on this matter of wearing protective gear, which then makes it more dangerous, which is an interesting thing, isn't it? I played until I was 47 years of age, says Rugby, Colin, and no broken bones. But however, broke nose twice playing contact basketball. He's all in, isn't he, Colin, for sure?
He is.
But they're 47, played till 47, which is amazing, with no broken bones there. Okay, so let's bring it into the Portuguese culture and how we might make new Portuguese friends. I'll go to each of you on what you think the chances are for the Portugal. Well, first of all, what you think about Portugal in rugby. What do you think about rugby in Portugal? And then how to approach the bar situation, make new Portuguese friends, and what are their chances in the World Cup? Let's start with you, Bobby, on that. The game in this country, do you see much evidence of it being supported and celebrated?
Yeah, it's growing. It's growing quite well, actually. I know a couple of the rugby players that played on the Portuguese team, and I knew the captain, Gonçalo, who was the captain of Portugal up to about 4 years ago. A big bloke, and their sevens actually are quite good as well. Portuguese sevens are very, very good, and actually do normally quite well. A guy called Pedro Leal would be one of their main players, who's also in real estate here in Portugal. But a lot of the Portuguese players play in France, playing Biarritz and Bayonne, professionally as well. So it's growing here, and even now I'm getting attacked, if you like, with regards to support rugby, youth rugby here, and they're trying to grow it, because the biggest issue I think rugby has here is soccer is the place that everyone goes to automatically, especially the big Benfica and the Sporting and Porto clubs. And rugby is a very, very distant sport in the minds of the Portuguese itself, but it is growing. It's growing. I think a lot of it's even growing with the expats that are moving into Portugal, that are bringing the rugby culture in. And the fact that they're even in the World Cup is saying something. And because over the last couple of years, I'd say the last 4 or 5 years, they've come on leaps and bounds as well. And not only their men's rugby, their women's rugby and their under 20s is even coming on very well. So I don't think they'll make a show of themselves in the World Cup at all. I think they'll actually hold their own. But they've a long way still to go to catch up with the major teams.
Very good. Okay. And your experience, Phil, of Portuguese culture, integration and so on, it wouldn't be a bad idea to maybe get yourself a Portuguese rugby shirt, go into the local bar and be there with everybody and make new friends that way?
I think that's a great idea. Where we are, obviously in central Portugal, well, when I get back there, I will be. Of course, there are so few people. So, all the rugby is based, quite understandably, the majority is based around Lisbon. And that makes total sense. Where there are people, there will be clubs. So it's quite thriving, I think, along the coast and down there. In the centre, there isn't so much. But for Portugal to have qualified is truly it's something special. I mean, you do have to remember that the Spanish have been disqualified from 2 World Cups now, which left that last spot open, which Portugal then qualified for. I mean, that in itself is, you'd think, okay, disqualified for 1 might be a mistake, but 2 is more than a mistake, isn't it? But for Portugal to go there, that is qualifying. Playing ineligible players, I think, is one of the reasons on numerous occasions. I haven't researched it fully, so I wouldn't want to incriminate myself. But for Portugal to have won that last qualifying game, you've got to remember they tied the game, and in tying the game, they qualified. That was their World Cup final. That game that has taken place was there. To be there, this is all bonus. It's all learning. It's all bonus. If they can get close against one of the teams in their group, they will have done exceptionally well. And I think it's just good. It will never, just as it doesn't in the UK, just as it doesn't in England, rugby will never rival the time that they spend on football. Football is everything in Portugal, and it comes ahead of everything. You see the passion for fourth division football in Idania Nova or Idania Avelia, and everyone's going wild. The passion is there for football rather than rugby. But rugby can certainly pick up some slack. There is space for the game here.
Okay, and a good way to make new friends. Antonio Off is saying the Portuguese rugby national team is nicknamed. This is good to know as well. Os Lobos, the Wolves. So you can support the Wolves come September. What would your advice be? Making new friends, being in Portugal, Ian, and getting to know the game. What should you shout out? Oh, you don't have a go. You don't have a go at the ref. Now, interestingly, yes, rugby songs. We could talk about, but maybe we shouldn't.
No, we can't.
Bobby was talking about how Johnny Sexton might be barred because he was giving out to the referee. It's not the same as in football, is it? You listen to the referee in rugby, do you not? Or you should do.
That kind of sums up the difference between soccer and rugby, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So soccer is a game for gentlemen played by hooligans, and rugby is a game for hooligans played by gentlemen.
Yes.
And you treat the referee as a god almost, because as soon as you start to argue with him, you firstly lose 10 meters, and then you're probably sent off for 10 minutes, and then you get the red card.
Then you get banned.
And then you get banned.
Wow.
As you see, that's a serious. They take it seriously, and maybe soccer should learn from that.
Yeah, and there's actually there's a lot of actual. I suppose people don't particularly like Johnny Sexton at the minute. They're calling for him for the 24 in their scores. Irish people don't want him to lose out in the World Cup, but it's not the first time that he's accosted the ref. And you know yourself, discipline in rugby is everything. If you're not disciplined, that's where you break it down. That's where you lose it, And so I genuinely believe that if he gets it, he deserved it. It wouldn't be the first time, And my dad actually said, what was it? That soccer or football, as we call it here, is 11 players pretending to be hurt, and in rugby it's 15 players pretending not to be hurt.
Yes, another cracking saying there. Brilliant. That's great. Thank you, Ian and Bobby's dad, for that. Fantastic. In the time that we've got left, then, so we can take it for granted. It's not as big a game as soccer, but you're still going to make new friends, popping on a Portugal jersey and going and watching it down at the local bar and getting involved. You've learned a little bit about the game. Another question to learn a little bit more still is from Global Nobles, and a newbie question: how often would a rugby team play? How often did you play, Ian?
Oh, only once a week.
What? Only once a week? Twice a week if you're Boris, though. One practice and a game, unless you're at Eton or Harrow or St. George's. My rugby squad's found out where you practice every day, and that's what made them such excellent and disciplined politicians, presumably.
I didn't play much at school, but I only played in the first couple of years, I think.
Right.
Because I was relatively small. That may come as a surprise. I was about the smallest in my class, sorry, 12 or 13. And we played St. George's once, and got absolutely mullered. I think it was about 80-0 or something ridiculous. It's no pleasure playing that sort of game. Absolutely not.
Quite.
So
Okay.
Those. Well, no, this was 12 or 13. So.
Oh, sorry, I'm thinking of my school.
I only started drinking at 14.
Yeah. Yeah, another insight into British culture there, which we haven't mentioned, of course, but there is, you did earlier on. I mean, there is certainly a sociable and alcoholically influenced side.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes if we were playing away, we'd meet in a pub beforehand before we drove. Forget the drunken driving thing. That was bad enough. We used to drink a couple of pints. And if we were short of players, we'd grab someone from the pub, find them some kit. Yeah, I mean, I think we grabbed 3 once, 3 players.
Really?
We'll play.
I haven't got any boots, and Ian says it's all right. You can borrow mine. Right,
with grass growing out of them.
Yeah, well, thank you very much for that, gents. We've also discovered from Mark, thanks for being here, Mark, rugby balls oval, because the first ones were made out of pig's bladders, which are oval, apparently. Seems a waste of a pig's bladder when you could be stuffing it with rice and seeds, having a Portuguese, Central Portugal speciality by the sound of it there. And thank you as well, João de Norte. The biggest difference between international football rugby versus US football is the length of the game. International football is 90 minutes, rugby 80, both with a bit of additional time for game stoppages. When televised, however, I guess American football goes on for several weeks, doesn't it? When televised, the games are roughly 2 hours. However, US football only 60 minutes, but will easily last for 3 hours with all the penalties and commercial stoppages. Thank you for the hive mind approach to learning more about rugby this morning. Have a great weekend, gentlemen. Don't go anywhere because we do have dad jokes. No, hold on just a moment. We got dad jokes. And of course, you may have some of your own to contribute here. Where was that visual dad joke? No, still, James, even on your birthday, I've forgotten to include the dad joke you've been sending me for the last few days. So we will just go with those from T-Duck this morning. And they are lying. Oh, no, I was attacked by a herd of cows. It's okay. I was only grazed. The look on their faces. Okay. Ooh, yeah. Green is my favorite color. I love it more than blue and yellow combined. Untouched, largely by that one. Oh, dear. Yes, it's a hard crowd this morning, T-Duck. Yeah. And lying about my age is easier now that I sometimes forget what it is. That's true, though, isn't it?
That's very true.
That's pithy wisdom rather than a dad joke there. Thank you so much, fellas. Got any nice plans for the weekend, Bobby?
Family. Parents are arriving tomorrow from Ireland, so it'll be a barbecue Sunday, and it'll be a sort of probably barbecue every night type thing all next week.
Sausages and potato crisps.
Oh, absolutely. Actually, I found a great place in Cascais. I went there last week and we bought every bag of potatoes they had.
Fantastic. Glad to hear it. I'll have a lovely weekend. Coach Turner?
I'll be coaching tomorrow morning. Easy afternoon, I think. Sunday, we've got a 10K race that I'm helping out at. And Sunday afternoon, going to see some of the family. So,
brilliant.
Busy
have a lovely
weekend.
And Phil, have a lovely weekend. When do your million steps start and what are you up to?
My million steps start 1st of July. I'll bang some videos together and do that. It's got to be done. I've decided 11,000 steps a day for 90 days. Of course, the biggest challenge is taking consistent action, as Coach Turner will tell you. It's very easy to start. It's hard to keep consistent. So I'm going to do that. And this weekend, it's family, friends, and of course, the Ashes starts. And even Lady K loves listening to Test Match Special. So it's something that as we're driving around, we will have the cricket on today and through the next 5 days.
Sounds beautiful. Oh, you got the weather for it, haven't you? Cricketing weather.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, I think we can safely say you did put the sex into sexta-feira today. Well done. Have a great weekend and bye for now. Ciao, ciao.
Bye, John boy.
Bye. Bye, Susan.
In Portugal, there's a YouTube show full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP morning show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP.
Good morning, Portugal, and I'd like to welcome you to another fantastic day.
Hey, Gumpers.